faithful Niner Empire. What's good? You know who it is. It's your boy, Jay in the Bay. It is great to be back on with the best fans in the NFL, the faithful, the Niner Empire. It is a special show tonight on a Saturday night. Hopefully, everyone has had a productive work week. We are 48 hours away from Cardinals. 49ers meet up in Mexico City again. The last time the 49ers and Cardinals met in Mexico City was in 2005. Man, that was my senior year of high school. That was the last time they played in Mexico City. And the Cardinals ended up winning that game. Hopefully, we'll have a different outcome in this game. But huge shout out. If you're an Arizona Cardinals fan, you're more than welcome to join the stream by contributing through the comment section on what we're talking about. If you have questions for my guest tonight, feel free to put them in the comments. And man, I'm happy to be back on tonight. Talking about some 49ers and Cardinals NFC West division matchup. Feel free to hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button as well. But let's bring on our guest. It goes by the name of the Cardinal Rule. He's doing very well on YouTube. He's got great numbers. He's continuing to steady grow on YouTube, and that's because he puts out excellent content. So if you guys don't know, make sure you check out the Cardinal Rule on social media, especially YouTube. He's got IG and Twitter. All his social media links are in the description of this video. Let's bring on TCR, aka the Cardinal Rule. What's good? How you doing tonight, man?
Good. Hey, man, it is any day I get to hang out with you is a good day. You know, we've done a number of collabs, and in fact, as I was preparing, kind of going through my notes, I went back and I noticed something.
What's that?
It was maybe about 2 weeks ago. Was a year and 2 weeks was the first time we did a collab. So
Wow.
Happy collab-iversary, Jay.
That's pretty dope. That's pretty dope.
Yeah. It's been over
it's always fun to collab with you as well. You know, you're very knowledgeable and passionate about the Arizona Cardinals. And it's always great to collab with teams you face twice a year, you know, so it's always good to get that perspective. So for those that don't know you, it's the first time they're seeing you. What can they expect on your YouTube channel and your social media platforms? Let the people know.
Yeah, so on my YouTube, you know, it's kind of similar to what you do. You know, I do some, live streams talking with the Cardinal, about the Cardinals games and such. I also do some edited videos like game reactions. If the Cardinals sign a player, I'll usually try to get a video up just to let fans know what to expect from the player. And once in a while, I'll get a little bit of a deeper dive video where I'll dive into something. So a lot of Arizona Cardinals content. I'm pretty active on Twitter, although I don't know, is Twitter going away? That's what everyone keeps saying. But
that's what everyone's saying.
Yeah, but on Twitter you'll see I'll post links to my videos, and sometimes I do a few memes and funny things. Like I did something, Cliff Kingsbury in his post game press conferences. Everyone talks about, he keeps saying the same stuff. So I put together the Cliff bingo card, and so during his press conference you can mark off if this is execute at a high level, or we just didn't get it done, or he's day to day, and that actually kind of caught on with Cardinals fans. Like in fact, some of the local radio, sports talk radio folks talked about it on air. So
wow.
I try, on social media, I try to do some fun stuff like that to mix it in. But on my YouTube channel, it's mostly, analysis and some live streams, talking about the Cardinals.
Nice. And you usually do a post-game show as well on your YouTube? Cool.
All right. What I've been doing this season is a post game after the games with a couple other content creators, podcasters. Evan, who has the He's on Fire podcast, and Jackie from the Red Zone Redbird podcast. A couple other Arizona sports fans who I collaborate with for the post games, and then I do a midweek sort of live stream with a couple other folks, Troy Honecker and Aaron Van Buren and Kyler Bird, kind of a rotating group of folks that jump on there with me from time to time.
Nice, man. You are continuing to do big things over there on the TCR, aka the Cardinal Rule YouTube channel. If you guys are interested in Cardinals news, man, you're looking at the guy. This is the guy right here, the Cardinal Rule. Make sure you check him out. This is an interactive show, so I gotta say what's up to some people in the chat. We have Deneen, first commenter of the day. What's good? Hopefully you had an excellent week, Deneen. Thanks for tuning in to the stream tonight. We have Back to Constitution One. This person says, "Let's go Cardinals. We love playing those Niners." What's good? The feelings are mutual. You know, you guys beat us last year. You swept us. One game Kyler Murray played, one game Colt McCoy played. So, yeah, I mean, the 49ers are definitely out for revenge. That's for sure. And we have to reverse this trend. We have Sejan in the building, who is a Seattle Seahawks fan. What's good? I hope all is well, CJ. Good luck to whoever you guys play tomorrow. And thanks for tuning in to the stream tonight. Now, I think we have to start off the show with the most pressing news about the Arizona Cardinals. And I feel it is the Arizona Cardinals injury report. Now, obviously, there's a lot of guys on this list. I believe this is the most updated list that I could find on the web. And let me just enlarge this real quick. That way everyone can see it. And you know, the biggest name on this list is the quarterback. It's Kyler Murray. You know, did he practice at all this week? Inquiring minds would love to know.
So, yeah, you know, I have an injury report that has a little more detail and I'll tell you, the guy to follow for good stuff like that is Darren Urban on Twitter. He works for the Cardinals and he posts their injury report. And Kyler Murray had a limited practice Thursday, Friday, and Saturday he did a walkthrough. Okay. So he's practiced on a limited basis. And, you know, in all the press conferences, the thing that Coach Kingsbury keeps saying is, you know, they're wanting to make sure he's 100% because you know, the running is such a part of his game and it's a hamstring injury. So that if he's going to play, they want him to be able to run at full speed. So, right. You know, if he were he could play, you know, and if he's going to stay in the pocket and, you know, not run much, but they don't want him playing unless he's 100%. And especially with the way the season's going right now. And Colt McCoy, you know, is a capable backup. So they're going to play it cautious with him. I think a lot of fans think Colt McCoy is going to start this game, but, you know, the coach keeps saying it's a game time decision.
And Colt McCoy, I believe he was on the injury list earlier this week. I think he had like a knee injury, but I don't see him here. I assume he is a full go if Kyler can go.
Yeah, so he, you know, the full injury report. So what you have there are the players that have a designation of out or questionable. Right. If you have the full injury report that also has like the practices, you know, he's on there with a knee. He had a limited practice Thursday, but a full practice Friday, and he was a full participant in the walkthrough on Saturday. So, so you know, he should be good to go unless there's some unexpected setback.
Okay. Yeah, and I think I have another injury report that's a little bit more detailed. Let me see if I can bring this up. Let's see if I can put it up. So this is obviously Zach Ertz. Unfortunately, he had the season-ending knee surgery, so he's out for the rest of the season. DJ Humphries is dealing with a back issue. He's out for the game. Cornerback Byron Murphy also has a back injury, so he's out for the game. And I think it goes into a little bit. So yeah, these are the limited participant players. Obviously, we talked about Kyler Murray with the hamstring injury. DeAndre Hopkins, that's a huge deal. Budda Baker, Max Garcia. Do you anticipate? I mean, limited participation basically means that, you know, they could be basically a game time decision on Sunday. Is that what you're thinking for a lot of these guys?
So I think Hopkins is going to likely play. I'd be surprised if he didn't. I know he had that injury last year that kept him out towards the end of the season, but throughout his career, aside from last year, Hopkins is a guy who's been pretty durable. He's a guy who would be on the injury report a lot, but end up playing, you know, and my hope and feeling is that this is that kind of a thing, that he'll be there. Max Garcia, you know, he had limited participation all week. they might have him inactive because I don't know. He's kind of a depth guy, but we'll see.
Okay.
I don't know that I don't know, as banged up as our offensive line is, it's a chance he could end up starting, but I think he's more likely to be on the depth chart. Kyler Murray, to me, is the one who has the biggest risk of those three of them sitting him. And it's not even because his injury is that bad. It seems like they're trying to take that careful approach. And, he probably could have played this last week, but they want him to be 100%. So,
right. And what about Budda Baker? He's obviously, one of your better defensive players. He's definitely a difference maker when he's in there. An emotional leader. I saw his locker room kind of speech. I think that was after the end of the game, post game, and he was very emotional. What's the status on Budda Baker? Do you anticipate he'll play?
Well, the thing you have to know about Budda Baker is he's not human. He's just not human. So, he had what was reported as a high ankle sprain. And, the coach said that going into last game, he was told that Budda would be out for 2 to 3 weeks with that kind of injury, 0% chance he'd start. And then Budda, lo and behold, played, right. And played well. He didn't practice Thursday. He was a limited participant Friday, and he was full participant in the walkthrough Saturday. He's going to play unless there's some unexpected setback. The guy is he's amazing. I think Cardinals fans probably love him more than any other player on this team right now in terms of just respecting his game, his heart, the kind of player he is, what he means to the team. He's the heartbeat of this team. He's a special player. I think Cardinals fans, I know speaking for myself, are happy that the rest of the NFL fandom and the rest of the world is getting to see what we already know about him through Hard Knocks. We already knew he was that guy. And and everyone else is getting to see what we already know.
Yeah.
So he's so important to this defense.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about Hard Knocks, but let me get through the rest of the. So just to let everyone know, the full participation, you got linebacker Marcus Golden, quarterback Colt McCoy, and kicker Matt Prater. So those guys are 100% full go as far as the game on Monday Night Football. Yeah, I was going to ask you about Hard Knocks. Obviously they've had Hard Knocks for years, and it's been during the preseason. And I think this is the first season where they're actually going to have it for the second half of the season. And my wife just stumbled upon it looking on HBO Max, and I was like, oh yeah, that's Hard Knocks. That's the Arizona Cardinals. That's very interesting to look at, especially since we play you guys twice. We're in the same division. Yeah. So what are your thoughts on what you've seen so far from Hard Knocks?
Yeah, I think this is the second year that they're doing the midseason. I thought they did the Colts last year.
They did the Colts last year?
Okay. Yeah, I think. But yeah, so, Cardinals fans were kind of worried. They were a little, I don't know, anxious about because how Cardinals were going to look in this. Because, since really through the entire offseason and regular season, the Cardinals have not been able to stay out of the news for the wrong reasons, right? The Kyler Murray contract, then the letter sent by his agent, and then the independent study clause of the contract, and then taking the clause out, and just there's been so much stuff and going on, and then Benjamin now getting released and details coming out about that there may have been an argument with him and a coach for overplaying time, and so Cardinals fans were like, oh man, this is gonna be a train wreck, a tire fire, and people are and the dysfunction is gonna be on display for the world to see. So far it's been interesting. I don't think it's been as bad as people thought it would be in terms of how the Cardinals have been represented. You're getting to see again guys like Budda, shine. I think there have been some conversations, people seeing what Colt McCoy, how he's, what you've seen from him behind the scenes and compared it to Kyler Murray. And, there's a lot of folks who are down on Kyler Murray and his leadership and maturity. I've been kind of a Kyler Murray defender. I don't think it's, Colt McCoy is a 12-year veteran who's been everywhere and seen every system. And I mean, he's going to be more mature than most quarterbacks, including some Pro Bowl caliber quarterbacks. But it's been interesting to see the insights as a fan. I just eat it up. I just love learning more and seeing more about what's going on behind the scenes. But fans right now aren't the Arizona Cardinals fans for the most part. More than half the fans I've seen are down on the coach and the GM and the owner. And and it's getting to be down on the quarterback. So it's also giving them fodder for kind of taking shots at those guys. Kind of seeing what they want to see in terms of those players.
I'm looking forward to when the 49ers are on Hard Knocks. It's great for content creators like ourselves. But yeah, just watching the Cardinals, it's been great to see them up close and personal. You get a behind the scenes look at, their players, what they go through. I think Buda Baker was, I think his sister is going off to college, and I think she's going to Arizona State. So it's just that behind the scenes feel you really can't get anywhere else. And even though, hey, I don't root for the Cardinals, it's still cool from a human approach just to see that these guys aren't just football players. They have lives, off the field, and hey, they go through stuff just like we do. So very interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of the weeks. And this is interesting for the Cardinals. I mean, go ahead.
I was just to say this next episode, supposedly there's going to be some drama there because I mentioned our running back Benjamin, who was a fan favorite because he played at Arizona State University, and then they drafted in the 7th round, and he was having a decent season for them, and then all of a sudden, like, he got cut, and like we're like, what?
Yeah,
where that came out of left field, and then later that day, report came out that there was an argument. Like I said, supposedly, word is from one of the people who are behind Hard Knocks, who's involved with the production. There's going to be something about that. Like they're going to supposedly, there's going to be we're going to see what happened.
We're going to see.
Yeah, an argument between him and a coach. Something it was described as kind of shocking. I don't know if that was exaggerating it or not, but
for him to get cut and he's a productive player, there must have been maybe some physical, maybe something physical may have happened. Or
I'll tell you, he doesn't seem like that kind of dude though. He seems like a good guy. Okay. He talks about playing FIFA soccer and he's a soccer fan, and you listen to interviews, he just seems like a nice kid. Like maybe even a little nerdy, and I say that in the best way possible because I'm a nerd, right? But like, so I mean, who knows? I mean,
we'll
but
find out.
I think what happened is he got into an argument with a coach and said some things and crossed some lines maybe, and they are like, you know what? We don't want anyone here who's not bought in.
Right.
I think that's probably how it went down, but we'll see, right? And then the Texans had the first, and back to Constitution pointed this out. Texans were number 1 in the waiver order, and they picked him. They put a claim out on him, and there were reportedly 3 other teams that put in claims on him. So
interesting. And he's a good player. Round pick. He was 7th round pick.
Yeah, and he barely made the team his first year, but he worked hard and he's been good, man. He's not a guy you want as your number 1 running back necessarily.
Yeah.
But if you've got a running back committee, he can be a good number 2 in that committee. So,
and quick question, Hollywood Brown. I know his practice window opened up. Should the 49ers defense expect to see speedster Hollywood Brown?
He's practicing. I haven't heard that they've activated him. If someone can correct me if someone's
he could get activated the day of the game.
He could,
so
yeah. I don't think he's going to play this week.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but I just think we would have seen him activated already. I think they would have made the corresponding roster moves.
Right.
Of course, watch me be wrong, but I have a feeling it's not going to be this week, but probably next week.
We'll find out. I think they usually do it an hour and a half before kickoff, so we'll find out around 3:45, 3:50, somewhere between there.
Yeah.
That's definitely something to look out for.
Back to Constitution's pointing out, you should remember, because didn't he flatten Dre Kirkpatrick?
Who?
Didn't he wasn't Dre Kirkpatrick a cornerback for y'all last year?
Who? Dre who? Who is that?
Yeah, you're trying to forget? Listen, he was a Cardinal. We're trying to forget him too. He was bad for us too.
I think James Conner, he did some damage to us last year as well. So there's no doubt about that. KD, hot diggity dog. I appreciate that $5 super chat, KD. And I was going to ask you about this, TCR.
Yeah.
The Cardinals rule. Do you feel that your coach and GM should be fired? Now, if you're the owner, if you're Mr. Bidwell, who flies his own Lear jets, I mean, that's pretty dope. You know, you fly your own jet. That's pretty cool. So do you feel would you fire? Would you clean house, get rid of the GM and the coach?
First, I want to say hey to Corey. I know I see him in the live chat, the chats here a lot. So good to see him, man. So I did a poll on my community tab about 2 polls, one for Cliff, one for Keim, asking should he be fired? Should they be fired right away at the end of the season, or they should be kept, or this? And I'll tell you that more than half of the people who responded wanted both of them fired. And as Back to Constitution says, he thinks they should be fired, and most fans think so. I go back and forth. I mean, Keim has been with the organization forever. He came up as a scout, worked his way up. He was the head of scouting, became the GM, and he and the owner are tight. He and Michael Bidwell are tight because they worked together for so long. And a lot of people say that's a problem because Michael Bidwell won't fire him as quick. He has too long of a leash. His drafts were bad for a good 5 to 7 year stretch. He's made some good trades. His free agent moves have been hit or miss. I feel like his drafts are getting a little better the last couple of years. With Cliff, it's tough because he's improved the record every year. And for the last 3 years, this is the first year they've taken a dip. And it's like, well, man, how many coaches, think about this. If in a vacuum, if you said, okay, this coach went, 5-10-1, 8-8, and then he went 11-5 or 11-6, whatever they went, right? And then he had one down season where they got 4 wins, maybe they end up with 7 wins, 8 wins if things go better, and then he has a 7 or 8 win season. In a vacuum, would you say that coach should be fired? Like, what I'm saying? He improved every year and then just had one dip back to 7 or 8 wins. Most teams, you wouldn't fire that coach, right? You say, okay, right, he improved, had one down year. Let's see what, but fans are really down on how the season's ended. They've been bad and late in the season every year. And they got, destroyed in the playoffs, embarrassed, and a lot of, there's a lot of concern. So I am sincerely torn. I go back and forth. I think the place I am at right now is I want to wait and see what happens when the season's over. If this team finishes strong, I want to give them both another chance. If they fall apart and, win maybe one more game this season, I'm not going to complain with anyone who says they should be fired. And that's kind of where I'm at.
Kingsbury was given an extension this past offseason, right?
As was Keim. They were both extended through 2027, I think. So there's a lot of – this is the tough part.
There's no way they're getting fired. He's not going to pay them 4 years to do nothing. I don't see that happening.
Well, and the tough part is Michael Bidwell, the Bidwell family owns the team, but they don't own some other huge business. It's not like the Rams with the Kroenke family that has this huge business to bankroll everything. So that is a consideration. And, that's at a minimum, I think that's part of the reason that they are likely to not fire him at least before the end of the season. I think the owner's going to take some time and really think about it. So I still want to wait and see how the rest of the season plays out. But I'm on the fence.
I think another great question is, were they worthy of an extension? I mean, yeah, Cliff Kingsbury has improved. He's got his guy in at quarterback, but they haven't won a playoff game. So it's like you give a guy an extension who hasn't won a playoff game. It's like, where's your standards, But but we'll see. We'll see if that was a great decision. Appreciate that $10 super chat back to Constitution One. He says, you guys rock. Thank you for both your analysis. I appreciate that. And thank you for watching tonight. And I'm going to get into the 49ers injury report. And let me see where that is. Right there. And I'm going to get this on the screen real quick. Yeah, the Cardinals and Niners have dealt with a ton of injuries. When it comes down to the NFL and who is last standing, a lot has to do with health. I mean, you got to be able to have a great 53-man roster, and obviously you do that through the draft and through free agency and trades and things like that. I got to ask you though, Cardinal Rule, because before I get into the practice report, what were your thoughts of the Niners trading for CMC? What were your thoughts on that?
And by the way, I shared an injury report on my screen. I don't know if you want to. That's got the one that I see. But anyway, my first response was a little snarky, like, "Oh, you traded for a guy to be another running back to sit on your injury list, right?" But if he's healthy, I mean, he's one of the best, running backs in the league and a receiving threat. I mean, he's a stud, right? So if he's healthy, he's all that in a bag of chips, right? I also thought, he played at Stanford, so I'm sure you all have the local kind of ties and stuff with him. So, but I don't know, like it's another weapon for you all. It makes you that much more dangerous. But I at the same time, like, the 49ers running game is going to be good with or without him because of Shanahan's blocking schemes. He just, he'll make a 7th round pick or undrafted free agent look like a Pro Bowler. So, I didn't necessarily think it was that much of a difference maker, if that makes sense. Your running game is going to be effective with or without him. And I know he's a great playmaker, so I don't want to say that it's nothing. But it's not, it's not like you went out and got a all-pro quarterback or a position where you had a lot of need. So, but it's a good pickup, and he's a heck of a player. So I'm not trying to diminish that. It was already a strength for you, if that makes sense.
I would say yes, it was definitely already a strength, but we get CMC. He's under contract for the next 3 years. There's no doubt he's an all-pro worthy running back. And I know even some 49er fans were saying, well, we don't really need another running back, which, hey, that's true, but we're not just getting another running back. I mean, granted, when he's healthy, he's like a top 5 running back. Yeah. And granted, he's been hurt the last 2 years. So far, so good this season. He's been healthy every game, but he can not only run the ball, he can catch the ball. You line him up with Debo and him in the backfield. I mean, it's weapons galore for Shanahan and Jimmy G in this offense. Some people say, I know, hey, we should have got a defensive lineman, or we should have got another cornerback. But usually those guys, like the elite of the elite, the CMC's level, they're not available to be traded. Like, let's be real. People were saying, oh, we need another center. Okay, well, who's going to trade away their good center or their Pro Bowl center? That usually doesn't happen. So we gave up a lot for him. Absolutely. And, our running back, Elijah Mitchell, who had a better game last week, but he's just coming back from injury. He's only played in 2 games so far, but he is, he was the starter before McCaffrey. But I think it doesn't matter really who starts. Both guys are going to get time. I think last week, Elijah Mitchell had 18 carries. CMC had 14. So they're both going to carry the load. But as you mentioned, Elijah Mitchell, I think he was a 6th round pick last year. And he's doing pretty well, but he's had issues with, staying healthy. It seems like everyone on the Niners at one point or another has issues staying healthy. But, going to this injury report, I'm going to try to, I won't add this on. I won't do that from Twitter again, but basically I can just read it out. Eric Armstead, he's not going to be available. He's dealing with foot and ankle issues. He hasn't really played since, I think, September, the last week of September. So no surprise that he's going to be out. Charvarius Ward, our top corner, he'll be available. Nick Bosa will be available. The only guy really on this list is Samson E. Bucum, our defensive lineman. He's been dealing with Achilles and knee issues, Achilles and quadricep issues. So he may not play, but we have a lot of guys on the defensive line who can fill in for him. Charles Omenwehue, Drake Jackson, our top draft pick this past season's draft. So, I mean, honestly, our practice report, our injury report has looked its cleanest so far. I mean, honestly, I think this is the healthiest we've been all year, honestly. So I think we're doing pretty good on that front, and I think a lot of these guys will be ready to go. Obviously, except the ones I mentioned. But let's continue with the comments. Gotta say, what's good to Libby's World? Thanks for tuning in to the stream tonight. And Deneen, hopefully that answered your question. Basically, it's just Eric Armstead and Samson who probably won't play. I think everyone else, unless they're already on IR or something, will be available to play. Let's see. Got to say what's up to Bryant. What's good? Hopefully all is well. Thanks for coming on to the stream tonight, and I will continue to read out comments throughout the show. Let's see. How would you characterize the Cardinal season so far this year?
Disappointing and injury riddled.
Yeah.
It's been very disappointing, obviously, the way these things have started out. They've been playing better lately. A lot of it is probably attributable to DeAndre Hopkins being back from that 6-game suspension. But they have been I think there was a data point that they were the second most injured team this year in terms of games missed.
Niners are probably first.
No, they're actually not, believe it or no. I think
really,
I think there was someone else. I don't know if it was the Chargers or someone else, but
okay, yeah, the Chargers are hurt as well.
Yeah, but our offensive line in particular has been decimated. With Rodney Hudson was supposed to be our starter, hasn't played but a couple games. Let's see. Will Hernandez is on the IR now. He was a starter. We've got we're going to be starting a backup left tackle. Basically, everyone. The only week 1 starter playing this week is our right tackle. And some of those interior offensive linemen were down to like the 3rd stringers. So that's been at the root of a lot of our problems. Is all those injuries. I mean, I know every team has injuries and have to be next man up. But it's the offensive line in particular. I mean, if your offensive line is that bad in terms of injuries, it's hard to make anything work. Yeah. So that's just been such a huge issue this year.
Yeah, and if I had to categorize the 49ers season, it's been super inconsistent. I mean, we don't know really. I can only speak for myself, but I don't really know what team we're getting from week to week, especially when you have losses to the Denver Broncos, the Chicago Bears, the Atlanta Falcons. Yeah, no, you lose to the Chiefs. Okay, a lot of teams lose to the Chiefs, but you lose to those 3 teams. I definitely had those, penciled in as victories prior to the start of the season. And we've dealt with some injuries as well. The offensive line has pretty much been consistently healthy for majority of the season, but we've had injuries to our secondary, Jason Verrett, Emmanuel Mosley, like 2 of our better corners. They're out for the rest of the season. And we've had, other injuries as well. Elijah Mitchell, he was out for almost 2 months. He's just coming back now. So he played pretty well last week. He had 18 carries, 89 yards. So he's definitely, one of our better running backs. That's for sure. But yeah, I think we've had issues, I believe, with our red zone efficiency. Like we'll have a 14, 15 play drive and then we'll settle for a field goal. It's like, you're not going to be able to beat the upper echelon teams with scoring field goals. You got to punch it in the end zone. You got to score touchdowns. That's been my biggest issue with this team. And of course is, number 10. What is he going to do when he doesn't turn the ball over? I think when he doesn't turn the ball over, we're pretty good. And there was a weird stat with him. I think it was like
I saw that.
Yeah.
I'm like 10-2 when
he doesn't throw a touchdown. That's a weird stat.
I saw a meme. It was like something comparing him to the guy who, doesn't do any work on a group project, but still gets an A.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's Jimmy G though. We ask him to do the least as possible. And as long as he doesn't turn the ball over, and, he's pretty good throwing, well, he throws high a lot. He throws the ball high a lot of times. And that's frustrating to watch, but that's Jimmy G. But yeah, I would categorize the season as just super, super average, super not consistent. And that's something that we definitely have to work on. Hopefully we go on a run. We've won 2 games straight. So, hey, maybe we can make it 3 on Monday night. Corey Davis says, Jay in the Bay, which quarterback would you like to face, Kyler or Colt McCoy? I mean, Colt is just a professional. You know, both guys beat us last year. Obviously, Kyler is on another level as far as his mobility, but Kyler's not 100%. So maybe Kyler, maybe because he won't be able to, you know, run 80 yards in a circle against the Raiders. You know, he won't be, I don't know if he'll be able to do that against this 49ers defense. So I would probably say Kyler if, you know, since he's not 100%. Crazy Juices in the building. What's good? Appreciate you coming into the stream tonight. He says, what's up, Jay in the Bay and the Cardinal Rule. Now let me ask you this. We know the big names on both sides of the ball for the Cardinals. Is there a guy on offense who could possibly make an impact in this game who the average fan does not know about?
So, you know, I think the guy that, you know, could make a big play or a couple of big plays that could really have an impact that's not necessarily the household name would be Rondale Moore.
Okay.
You know, former second round pick for the Cardinals. He's had some injury issues, but man, his movement skills in terms of just his elusiveness. I mean, he when he's got the ball in his hand in space, he is really tough to catch. He's fast, really good change of direction, but he also makes some really big catches. I don't know if you saw, but he had a sideline catch on 4th down, one-handed, out the sideline last week that was really impressive. And he's had even a few better catches than that in his short career thus far. So, with DeAndre Hopkins, we'll see how he is health-wise with Hollywood Brown out. Rondale Moore's had a chance, and he's had some nice games, the last couple of weeks. So that's a guy on offense who could be a big part of this game.
Yeah, he's definitely a name to watch out for. He is a speed threat on the outside. I know he'll line up in the slot as well, right?
In fact, primarily a slot receiver. Okay. They use him for a lot of gadget plays too. He's the guy, he's the perfect guy to do screens with. Unfortunately, they do too many of them with him. But primarily a slot receiver. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, he could definitely be a mismatch out there. On our slot cornerback, it would be Samuel Womack or Demo Lenore, two young guys. Haven't really found their footing yet in the NFL, so he could definitely present some problems to us. So that'll be a matchup definitely to watch out for. I would tell you this, an offensive player who could make an impact, I would say Aaron Banks. I know talking about offensive line play isn't real sexy, but Aaron Banks is a second-year player. He hasn't given up a sack all season. He lines up at that left guard spot. He's taken over for Laken Tomlinson, who was a Pro Bowler, or he was playing at a Pro Bowl level last year, so he's got big shoes to fill, but he's been playing great. Also, Juwan Jennings, not a household name, but a wide receiver who Jimmy G likes to throw to on 3rd down. He had 4 big catches last week, about 40 yards. He's not a burner. He's not, he's not going to stretch the field downfield, but in between the line of scrimmage and 10 to 15 yards, Jimmy loves to throw to him, especially on the money downs. So those are the 3rd downs. So I would say Aaron Banks and Juwan Jennings. Got to get to this super chat. Hot diggity dog. Appreciate that $2 super chat, Jag. Jag says, what's good, Jay and TCR? What are your top concerns? And I'll answer this first. My top concern, or one of my concerns for this Cardinals team, is, I mean, if Kyler Murray plays, it's Kyler Murray. I mean, he is hard to watch. He's hard to guard from a defensive standpoint because of what he can do with his legs. And guys have to keep contained. My wife gets tired of me saying this, but I yell at the TV when guys do not keep contained. Like, it's something that's, for me, sitting on my couch, whatever, it's so easy to do, but guys don't do it. And they allow the quarterback to run out 15, 20 yards, or even just run out and able to, create more seconds for their receiver to get open. So just keeping contained on Kyler Murray, that's a huge issue for me. And the 49ers have failed at that in certain times against previous teams. What's your one of your concerns going up either against the 49ers offense or the 49ers defense?
My biggest concern is stopping your pass rush. Like I mentioned, our offensive line has been a patchwork. Our left tackle is actually a really good backup who's a starting caliber player. I'll talk about him a little bit later. But again, our interior offensive line in particular are guys, they're not grading well and they're not playing well. But last week, they somehow held Aaron Donald to 0 sacks. So they're capable with the right scheme of getting it done. But if your pass rushers get to our quarterback, that could be a very long game for us. But the thing is, we've done a good job against the 49ers in the last couple of years. I mean, and our offensive line did a good job against Aaron Donald. And part of that was the game plan of Colt McCoy getting the ball out very quickly. Yeah. So if they can replicate that this week, I like our chances. But that is my biggest concern is if your pass rushers can disrupt that's going to be a big concern for this game.
Hey, great answer. And I'm looking forward to our pass rush going up against the Cardinals offensive line. And in the Hard Knocks, I think the starting left guard, I think he was saying, I don't remember his name, but
Lecitus Smith.
Yeah, he was saying he didn't even expect to play this year. Mm-hmm. And he did pretty well against Aaron Donald. So kudos to him. I'm sure that gives him a lot of confidence because obviously every offensive coordinator, every offensive lineman coach keys on number 99 when you play against him. So we'll see what he does this week. Obviously, our top 2 interior defensive linemen are out, Javon Kinlaw and Eric Armstead. We do have Kevin Givens, Hassan Ridgeway, Akeem Spence. I think they are at their best when they play 10 to 15 snaps a game. Now they're in starting roles, so I don't think they're as effective. Not saying they're not as well. Clearly, they're not as good as the starters because they're role players, but they're best when they play sparingly, not the entire 40, 45 snaps or whatever that defensive players play. So we'll see what happens. They have been pretty good because we have been doing pretty well against stopping the run. So obviously they're doing something right out there. That's for sure. But great answer. Got to say what's up to a few people in the chat. We have Bay Area Baller in the building. What's good? Hope all is well, Bay Area Baller. Looking forward to when we link up. And also we have Straight Out of the Bay in the building. What's good? I'm excited to be hosting the show. Well, I won't be hosting, but I'll be a part of the show Monday night, right after the 49ers and Cardinals Monday night game. So it'll be an instant reaction. Make sure you guys come through, check out Straight Out of the Bay. And we will continue on with these comments. But first, let's go to the other side of the ball, TCR. Is there a defensive player who can make an impact? That's not a big name.
Zach Allen. I've got 2 of them. Zach Allen, our interior defensive lineman. He was a 3rd-round pick out of Boston College. Was a little banged up his first 3 years. PFF grades were kind of in the 50s. He put on some muscle. He worked with JJ Watt, who's a great, obviously, mentor. And they're similar body style and position. And he is having a heck of a season. His PFF grade's up in the 70s. He's just getting, he's getting sacks, batted balls as an interior defensive lineman, right? So he's not that edge rusher, but he's one of our leading sack producers. And he's just been good every game. He's maybe had one bad game. And if interior offensive line, I don't know if there's a position there that might be that you're concerned with, he's a guy who could take advantage of that along with JJ Watt. So that's a guy, if you don't know who he is, you should check him out. He's having a great season. Okay. And the other guy I'll say is our cornerback, Antonio Hamilton, who was a guy that we signed last year. He was one of the last cuts coming out of training camp for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And then we signed him, and he's sort of this journeyman veteran who's kind of been on the bubble of rosters, and he's just played really well for the Cardinals. In fact, last game, he was our number 1 cornerback with Byron Murphy, who was out, and he'll be our number 1 again, probably. And he was covering Cooper Kupp and just held him to like nothing. Now Kupp got injured later in the game, but he was doing a heck of a job on Cooper Kupp. So Antonio Hamilton, our cornerback, is kind of an unheralded guy who's probably going to get a nice extension with the Cardinals, I hope. and has been really good with them since last year.
And does he normally play the slot corner, or is he outside?
So last year he played slot for the Cardinals a lot, but he has been playing inside or outside for us with the injuries, and he's played well in both. So I want to say hey to Grandizer. Grandizer's a really good dude who's in everyone's chats, holding down the chat. Grandizer serves this community really well. Really appreciate him. Back to Constitution, who is also really active part of my channel's community. Saying I play guitars. What he's responding to, because Sejan asked if I play those guitars. I do.
Yeah, nice.
I play the bass guitars more than anything. I live in a small town, but there's a local bar here. And last Friday night, I was down there playing with some guys in a band I'm in, playing like cover tunes and stuff, rock and stuff like that. So I play. Yeah.
That's dope, man.
They're not just for show.
That's dope. Also, I gotta say, what's good to G12. Appreciate you tuning in to the stream tonight. Hopefully, you're having an excellent weekend. Let's see. Let's continue to go through the comments. Got Michael Fenton in the building. What's good? Also, we have Platform 246. Appreciate you tuning in to the stream tonight. What's good? He says, what's happening, Jay and Cardinal Rule? What's happening, Faithful? And appreciate you. Hit that thumbs up button if you guys are ready for some Monday night football between your Niners and Cardinals. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button. For me, unknown defensive player, I would say is Charles Omenwehu. He's not a starter. He could start if Samson doesn't start, opposite of Nick Bosa, but he's second on the team in sacks. And he just wrecks havoc when he's in there. He doesn't have the league leading in sacks like Bosa does with 9.5, but he's very productive. I mean, he was a guy we traded for, I believe, last year from the Houston Texans. We gave them a day 3 draft pick. So he's very productive. Didn't have to pay much, and I think he would fill in great for Samson if he doesn't play. Also, look out for Drake Jackson. We drafted him this year, another edge rusher. I believe he's third on the team in sacks. So I think those guys could do really well against this battered Cardinals offensive line.
Yeah.
I think I have one more defensive player. Let's see. I mentioned the 2 defensive linemen. I think the name will come to me. Actually, no, I'm going to say Dre Greenlaw. He is a linebacker. I believe he's up there in leading the team in tackles with Fred Warner. I don't know if you saw the game last week or any highlights, but he actually got ejected from the game last week due to a hit to the head. It was on Justin Herbert, the quarterback. And just to describe the play, Justin Herbert was basically running. And of course, you know how quarterbacks love to do. They love to slide at the latest second they can. And I think Herbert got hit by 3 different players on that play, and Greenlaw was the last to hit him. And you can never tell intent, but I think the penalty of ejecting a player, I think it's too severe. Why not just give them a warning? I don't think Dre Greenlaw has ever been ejected before in a game. So it's just it just sucks that it's such a severe penalty for that type of contact. I know the NFL wants to be a safer league. I don't know how you really make contact football safe, but you don't want to allow those hits to the head, and I totally get that. But he's a guy to look out for. Number 57, he's going to be flying all around the field, and he's another guy that can wreak havoc on this team. And I love watching Dre Greenlaw play. I love his tenacity and energy he brings. And he's not a household name, but he will be with the 49ers for years to come. That's for sure. So those are my defensive guys who could make an impact. Let's get into if the Cardinals win this game, what do you think will be the 3 keys to victory for the Arizona Cardinals? What 3 things they must do in order to win this game versus the 49ers?
So the first one is the one that I already mentioned. They have to find a way to limit the 49ers pass rush from getting home. Okay. Like I said, they and I know Niners fans are gonna say, oh, our pass rush is really good. We're gonna tear your guys up, and maybe I mean, you guys have a good pass rush, but like I said, we neutralized Aaron Donald with a good game plan last week. So it's not a foregone conclusion, but I am worried about it, right? Because that you do have a good pass rush, and our offensive line has to find a way to limit or neutralize that. And again, it starts with the quarterback getting the ball out quickly. The second key is going to be whoever's playing quarterback, not turning the ball over. Colt McCoy did a good job of holding onto the ball, or should say not turning it over. He got the ball out quick. No turnovers, so that was nice. If Kyler's playing, he's got 12 touchdowns and 6 interceptions, I think. So Kyler, he does turn over the ball. Some, he's got a couple fumbles. If he plays, he needs to not do that, because this game has historically, last couple of years, has been a tight game, like 17-10 or whatever it was. And, it's been a close game. So the quarterback has to not turn over the ball. And then the third key is our defense needs to be on. Our defense statistically is not very good this year, but part of that is because they've been on the field so much, because like the offense has been so inefficient at points that the defense just keeps getting thrown back out there and gets gassed. They've played really good stretches though. Like they've shut down teams for entire halves, but they haven't been able to do it consistently. They played really well against the Rams last week, granted, with John Wolford, the backup quarterback, but they played a heck of a game last week. The defense looked really good. So this game feels like if the Cardinals win, it feels like it's another one of those close games, tight games, no one scoring in the 30s kind of games if the Cardinals win, right? It's a 20. I know Corey put 24-20. It's a 24-17, 24-20 kind of a game if the Cardinals win. And it involves our quarterback doing a good job of not turning over the ball, and our defense playing the way that they played that one game when, we held y'all to like 10 points or whatever it was last year.
No, I dig it. And one of my keys to victory for the San Francisco 49ers is what Deneen is bringing up now. She says, McCaffrey, what are your thoughts? I mean, we got to feed CMC. That's got to be a key to this game plan. Whether it's getting him the ball via the run game, via the pass game, just get the ball into one of your best weapons. And I think Jimmy G can do that. He's not great at throwing the ball deep, but he could definitely throw the ball between the line of scrimmage and 15, 20 yards away. I just think CMC is going to be a hard guy to game plan for and a hard guy to cover. Now, I will give the Cardinals credit. They have some of the fastest linebackers out there, Isaiah Simmons, and I think it's Zaven Collins. Yeah. So they've got some fast linebackers. So that'll be another exciting matchup to watch out for when McCaffrey goes out for pass patterns and George Kittle as well. But that's going to be my number one key. Get CMC involved in the game plan early and often. He should be the focal point of this offense. My second key to victory, I think, is you have to play button-up football, and I think that's something that the Cardinals struggle with. They are one of the most heavily penalized teams in the NFL, and I think the Niners, I think the last few games, I don't think we've hit double-digit penalties. I don't think. I think last game was only 5 penalties. I think if we keep that under wraps, we play button-up football, I think that'll definitely give us a better opportunity to win. I would say my third key to victory, I mean, this could go in a lot of different ways. I think we have to get off the field on third down. I like to call third down the money down, and it's going to be imperative for this defense to get off the field on third down, and also for the offense. The offense has to continue drives. Only way you do that, you got to convert third downs, and of course, score in the red zone. So I think those would be my 3 keys to victory for the 49ers. And I want to read a few comments because we're going to end on, our score prediction and why we feel that way. Corey Davis mentioned earlier, he sees the 49ers winning 24-20. Deneen also feels that score is adequate. David V, what's good? Appreciate you coming into the stream tonight. For those that are still in here, feel free to put your score prediction in the comment section, and we'll read some of those off as well. Let's see. Back to Constitution 1. He says, rattle Jimmy, stop the run, and do short passes until the home run hit to Hollywood Brown or Rondell Moore late in the third or fourth quarter. Okay. And back to Constitution 1 says, obviously, run it more. And that'll be interesting. The 49ers have a really stout run defense. That is another key for me as well, is to, make this Cardinals offense one-dimensional. You mentioned, you guys had a great game plan against Aaron Donald. And the Niners do that as well. Like, as long as you get rid of the ball quick. And I think that's something that our defensive coordinator, DeMeco Ryans, it'll probably be his last year with the team.
He's going to be a head coach.
Yeah, he's going to be a head coach. I think he does a great job of adjusting. I think last week, the Chargers, their first drive against us, they went down and scored a touchdown. And the rest of the first half, they only were able to get field goals, and then they were shut out in the second half. So I think DeMeco Ryans does an excellent job of adjusting his defense. I think he starts off, I wouldn't say bland, but he just starts off to basically gauge what the offense is trying to do, and then he adjusts from there. So I think that's something else to watch out for. Cliff Kingsbury versus DeMeco Ryans, and that matchup in between itself. So that's going to be very interesting to watch. But
yeah, let me give you one more thing to watch with this game. I think if you look at the way the Cardinals defense has played this year thus far, I think the most important players for the 49ers are going to be George Kittle and Christian McCaffrey, and not your receivers. Now watch them have a huge game just to make me look stupid. But the Cardinals, even though you look at our cornerbacks and you're not like, oh, you don't see a Jalen Ramsey, kind of a player. And even the PFF grades, like, Marco Wilson's PFF grade is not good. It's in the 40s, but our cornerbacks have done a really good job against wide receivers. It's part, I think, the scheme. I think it's part our safeties giving them help. Like, if I'm not mistaken, I think only one wide receiver's had a 100-yard game against the Cardinals. That was Chris Olave. There's been some tight ends that have, right? But Justin Jefferson had 98 yards. But when you look at guys, like, they held Devontae Adams, like 2 for 12, 2 receptions for 12 yards. He had 1 touchdown. They the guys in Seattle, both of those guys, Metcalf and Lockett, they've held them to 50 yards and 40 yards and 30 yards. And you have all these great receivers that they've played against who have not had big games. They've done a good job of bracketing those receivers. So, if your receivers have a big game, that would be very different than how things have gone this year. And we've had some bad losses, but it was the tight ends and running backs that were having the big games on us. So that's a thing to watch in terms of this matchup.
Absolutely. And George Kittle, I feel like he could put up stats like a Travis Kelce, but we just don't use him in that manner. And I'm tired of saying it, but it's just reality. He needs to be a focal point of this offense. But I'm going to give you a name, the Ayuk Show. Wide receiver Brandon Ayuk
played at ASU.
This is what he's done his last 5 games. At Atlanta, 11 targets, 8 catches, 83 yards, 2 touchdowns. Versus KC, 11 targets, 7 catches, 82 yards. Versus the Rams, 6 targets, 6 catches, 81 yards. Last week versus the Chargers, 6 catches, 7 targets, 84 yards. So Jimmy G, Brandon Ayuk connection is real. It's continuing to grow. I'm enjoying watching the rapport between those two. Jimmy he's the most targeted wide receiver, Brandon Ayuk. It's only by 2 targets from him and Debo, but that would be an interesting matchup. I don't know if Brandon Ayuk will get over 100 yards. I don't think he's gotten over 100 yards this year, but he's gone pretty close. Like he's up there with 80 yards consistently a game, as I mentioned. But Jimmy doesn't really throw the to him. Can you hear that music, or is that just?
I just heard a little something weird going on.
Okay, hold on. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's weird.
Something just a little weird.
Hold on. Okay, never mind.
Technical difficulties.
Yeah. I must have accidentally tapped something. So, but Jimmy G, Brandon Ayuk, definitely watch out for that connection. I think, that could be another, 8-catch, 80-yard game. But we'll see. But that's definitely something to look out for. Jag, appreciate the $2 super chat. Jag says, close game, but the 49ers pull it off 21-20. Yikes. Yeah, we'll see, man. It's going to be very, very close game. So TCR, it's the moment we've all been waiting for. Feel free. Give your prediction of the Niners and Cardinals in Mexico City.
So I know the 49ers are, a team that's favored, and they probably, they deserve to be. They've had a better season, but I'm a fan. I got to go with my 49ers. And I gotta tell you,
With your Cardinals?
my Cardinals. Yeah, I'm a fan. I go with Cardinals over the 49ers a little. And I got to tell you, I have this written down, so I promise I'm not copying, but I have 24-20. So Corey, I promise I didn't just copy your score. It's great minds thinking alike, but I'm going 24-20 Cardinals. I know that's optimistic fan speaking, but we've been playing better lately. So here's hoping, right? So, and then we got David's calling me. Want to say hey to David. Always like to tell me I'm Mr. I look like Santa Claus, and we got back costume saying I'm the professor, not Santa. Though I may or may not own a Santa Claus hat that I may or may not wear on my live stream on Christmas because the Cardinals are playing on Christmas. People have to tune in to see. So.
Gotta say also, what's good to the Ramilia Sports Report? How you doing, man? Still repping those Rams as you should. Good to see you, man. Hope all is well. G-Rod, what's good? Debo, Debo hasn't. Yeah, it's just, he is one of the wide receivers who he's got a lot of drops. That's definitely an area of his game where he's got to get better. But G-Rod said, hey, Debo is overdue for a breakout game. He's been relatively quiet this season. I mean, he had that big play at home. I forgot who was. It might have been against the Rams. I don't remember, but it was a big play. It was like a screen pass. He took it to the house. But yeah, he's been kind of quiet. But for my prediction of the game, of course, I have the 49ers winning. And I just think we're going to be able to limit this Cardinals offense. Now, if it's Colt McCoy starting, I know he beat us last year. I know he's a professional. He knows he can read the coverages. Yeah. He knows where to go with the ball. He's not trying to hit a home run play, every play. So he is dangerous as well. That's crazy for me to say, but yeah, I mean, he knows where to go with the ball. But we definitely have to get pressure on Colt or Kyler, whoever's in there. Got to keep contained. And I think the 49ers, this has probably been the best secondary, I think, for the 49ers, especially as far as getting turnovers. Talanoa Hufanga has been a beast. He's been getting some interceptions.
Like 4 interceptions, right?
Yeah, at least 4 interceptions. Tayshaun Gibson, he's been quietly playing well. I think he has at least 1 or 2 interceptions, or at least he's had at least 2 deflections where he's hit the ball, and then Talanoa Hufanga has picked up the ball. So they play well together. Jimmy Ward, he's coming off with a broken hand. He no longer has that cast. So, he'll be in there. He'll probably be playing the slot nickel cornerback position, which, this guy was voted a top 100 player playing the free safety position. So I think that's where he should play. But, yeah, that's not my decision. But back to the score. I think the Niners win this game. I think we win the game 31-23 in Mexico City on Monday Night Football. I can't wait. And I think the 49ers continue on a 3-game win streak. And, we stay undefeated in the NFC West division. So looking forward to the game. Appreciate you coming on to the stream tonight. For those that have seen the Cardinal Rule for the first time, and they enjoy what you have to say about the AZ Cardinals, let them know where they can find you at on social media and what to expect from your YouTube channel.
Yeah, you can find me at Twitter. It's at JOKOMO13. It's a play on my name, Jokomo. You can find my Twitter link also on my YouTube channel, The Cardinal Rule. That's really the best place to find me. Subscribe. And you're going to find, like I said, you're going to see live streams. You're going to see game reaction videos, shorter videos like that. Whenever there's an player acquisition, I'll usually get something up there to talk about the player. I get into the stats a little bit more, talking about PFF grades and things like this, and try to do a little bit more of a deeper dive analysis on stuff. So yeah, that's where you're going to find on my channel if you subscribe. So if you're a Cardinals fan or just someone who wants to know what's going on with the Cardinals as a division rival, definitely would love to have you as a subscriber to my channel.
Absolutely. And man, it's always a blast linking up with you and collabing. I enjoy it. We both love our teams, but we do it, in a respectful way. And, it's all love at the end of the day. We're all just rooting for our teams. And we use YouTube as a hobby to, express our thoughts about our team. So always great, man. Happy Thanksgiving to you and also everyone watching. And man, I'm wishing the Cardinals health in the game. But of course, I want the Niners to win.
Right.
So, but hey, man, you have a great rest of your night, and I'm sure we'll send each other the Twitter messages on who wins on Monday night. So
for sure. Well, yeah, I always enjoy hanging out with you. The folks who are subscribed to you, Jay's representing you well. He's a good dude. In front of the camera and behind the camera. That's one of the reasons I love, doing collabs with you. I just love hanging out with good people, and
Absolutely.
You are good people, Jay.
Appreciate it, man. The feelings are mutual, man. Good luck on Monday, man.
Right. Likewise.
All right.
Peace.
Peace out. All right. So that was TCR, the Cardinal Rule. Represents his Arizona Cardinals proudly, and it's going to be a great game on Monday night in Estadio Azteca, Mexico City. The 49ers and Cardinals, they played in Mexico City before in 2005. So, hey, the rivalry is renewed. I'm going to finish out the rest of these comments. Let's see. The Remedial Sports Report says it's going to be an interesting game. Could this be the game Jimmy Garoppolo cost the 49ers? CMC hasn't made a big difference so far, and Debo isn't Debo from last year. I don't know why the camera is doing that. I wonder if you guys can see it on your end, but for some reason it's blanking out on mine, but hopefully you guys don't see that. But Remelia Sports Report. Jimmy G has been playing pretty well. I don't know if you've been watching, my brother, but Jimmy G's been playing pretty well. He's been relatively turnover free. We've won the last 2 games. And he says CMC hasn't made a big difference so far. I mean, he's a threat whenever he touches the ball, man. I know the Rams. I know y'all wish y'all would have got CMC. I know it. I can see the hate in the messages. I see it. As far as Debo, I mean, he's not being utilized as he was last year. I mean, there's no mistake about that. But I think Debo can still be a productive guy for us. I mean, I don't think he's going to have the same season he had last year just because we got guys who are healthy. I mean, he was the de facto running back for us last year. Elijah Mitchell is back. Of course, we have CMC now. So, but I think Debo can still be a contributor to this team. There's no doubt about that. Back to the Constitution 1 says that ain't Santa. That's the professor. Okay. G-Rod says Arizona did the sweep. Yeah, and that's what I was saying earlier on in the show, G-Rod. Arizona did sweep us last year. Kyler Murray was the starter in one of those games, and Colt McCoy was the starter in the other. I think the last game we played against the Cardinals, I think Colt McCoy was the starter, and the Cardinals got up on us early in the first quarter. I think it was like 14-0. We don't play well from behind. We all know that. And the Cardinals ended up winning that game. The Remelia Sports Report is like, oh, well, the Rams suck this year. So he's like, go USC. At least one of my teams are going to the championship game this year. LOL. Fight on. That's funny. Sean Tuber, what's good? Appreciate you tuning in to the stream, Sean Tuber. Hopefully you had a productive week. Thanks for tuning in to the stream tonight. G-Rod says we need to contain the edges. Former 49er players have said defense is missing Armstead and Kinlaw's presence to solidify the middle. I completely agree. The edge players, you got to keep contained, especially if Kyler Murray is playing. When you don't keep contained, you allow the quarterback to make big plays outside the numbers. And hopefully the Niners edge rushers do a better job at that. And I agree, Sean, too, where this will be a hard hitting game. It's an NFC West division rival game. So yeah, it's going to be very, very intense. Jag, appreciate that $2 super chat. He says, Jay, why the 49ers didn't go to Mexico early? Well, they're training in Colorado, I think at the Air Force Academy. I don't know if the Cardinals got there earlier than the Niners. I'm not sure, but for whatever reason, the 49ers wanted to work out at the Air Force Academy in Colorado. I'm sure the elements there are similar to Mexico City as far as like the elevation. Obviously, in Colorado, the air is thinner up there. They're in higher elevation, so that can mimic the conditions in Mexico City. So I would assume that's why they stayed. So yeah, they'll probably end up in Mexico City. Maybe they'll fly out on Sunday, maybe. But we'll see. I'm sure they'll let us know on the 49ers Twitter page. That's for sure. David McNew says, go 49ers. Let's roast some red chickens at Levi's International, man. I'm down with that. Definitely down with that. Appreciate everyone tuning in to the stream tonight. Had an excellent turnout. Looking forward to the game, of course. And we will be having a post-game show straight out of the Bay style on one of our 4 channels, whether it be mine, Celts Chronicles, Bay Area Baller 18, or Amin the Dream. So be on the lookout for that. We will be going live basically right after the game. And we'll be giving our instant reaction to the football game. Hopefully it will be a victory Monday. Let's see. Yeah, back training at altitude. Absolutely, David McNew. Let's get this person out of the chat. Let's see. Back to Constitution says it. No, it doesn't snow down there. That made no sense except for altitude. Yeah, exactly. The altitude. The air is thinner up in Colorado due to the elevation. And I think it's the similar altitude that it is in Mexico City, I believe. So G-Rod, our defense is going to knock the tacos out those cars. That's funny. Back to Constitution 1. He says, G-Rod, that'll be a first. Same to you, Jag, and everyone watching. Stay blessed. Have a great Thanksgiving. Hopefully you guys spend time with your families. Enjoy the days off if you get it. But yeah, you'll see me back Monday night on one of those 4 gentlemen's channels I mentioned, and we'll be going live straight out of the base style, 8:15 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, or if the game goes into overtime, we'll probably go right after the game. But yeah, man, I'm excited for the game. I'm excited to see, all our weapons on offense. Hopefully we get Kittle and Debo involved a little bit more in this game plan, and I'm expecting our defensive players to fly around the ball. Obviously, Kyler Murray and Colt McCoy, we don't know who will be the starting quarterback, but just be on the lookout for that on, Monday. I'm sure they'll make an announcement on Monday, a few hours, an hour and a half before the game. Same to you, back to Constitution. Thanks for tuning into the stream and repping your Cardinals, man. Appreciate it. And yeah, everyone have a great night. We got some football on tomorrow, and I'm excited to be watching some football. And yeah, everyone have a great rest of your night. Go Niners.